Alright, let's go. Welcome back into the Squishy Sport Podcast in the continuation of your NRL team season previews, baby. We've got two more to go for you. This one, we're going to be doing the Parramatta Eels season preview. So, we literally have footy this weekend, guys. We literally have footy this weekend. I can finally say it. The weeks have been counting down since I did this first team preview. We have preseason footy this weekend, baby. Less than 4 weeks until Vegas. Oh my goodness gracious me. We are back. We are motherfucking back, baby. How freaking good. Must say, the support I've got from my new Supercoach series, the trade room, has been unbelievable. Cannot thank you guys all enough. And the support I've been getting from these team season previews have been unreal as well. I believe I'll be doing like round reviews, and I'll be doing my Supercoach episodes, and maybe doing a round preview as well for NRL this season. I'm just not quite sure, still figuring it out. But I said, let's talk about the Parramatta Eels. I said we've got two more to go, Eels and the Storm. I get it, there's always a bit of controversy between those two teams at the moment. I'm not going to dive too much into like the Zach Lomax situation. Most of us are on top of where we're at with Zach Lomax. Sounds like it's going to court in like within the next couple of weeks sort of thing. Storm, what I've last heard, Storm have offered $300,000 to the Eels for Zach Lomax. They've still rejected it because they want like a player in return rather than money, which I can definitely understand 100% for sure. They want something there. Been absolutely stitched up Parramatta in this situation. So, before we get started into the whole season preview, make sure to give it a massive like and subscribe to the channel for more NRL content coming this year for you. As well, as I said, preseason footy starts this weekend. I'll be doing a review of those two games next week for you on this channel for you, coming out around the same time next week. But yeah, Eels and Storm. Let's get into the Parramatta Eels. So usually with my previews, we go through their 2025 recap, where I think they'll finish in 2026 in my latter preview that I did like a few months ago, and they predicted there very early. Going through their 2026 gains and their 2026 losses. So players who are going to be coming to the team who I think will make a difference, and players who are leaving the team who I think will make a difference there. Then going to have a look at their best 1-17 in their draw. And essentially for round one, if there is an injury, I'll obviously let you guys know, and they'll be in the team for later on in the season there. And then we're going to have a look at their draw for the season there. So how it impacts, have a bit of an easier draw, a bit of a harder draw, just overall how I think they'll go for the season. But nevertheless, let's get started into the Parramatta Eels for 2026. So the Parramatta Eels, they last year finished 11th, 110, lost 14. First year under Jason Ryles, which I think you can call this definitely a success. 11th on paper doesn't look good, but at the start of the year, Jason Ryles, first year as head coach, came out and visibly said, this is a rebuilding year. And to have a rebuilding year and finish 11th, I thought is a resounding success. Probably when you're looking at rebuild, you're probably thinking first year, just finish bottom 4. You want to build the foundation, but to finish 11th, I think they've won easily the last 4 out of 5 games. They came home with a wet sail. They were awesome to watch at the back half of last year, especially after that Origin period finish. Mitch Moses was on fire. Joash Papali'i was unbelievable to watch in that 5'8". Iongi really came into his role in the fight into fullback. You had the combination of Riley Smith and Talon Da Silva working really well as well. Lot to look forward to for Parramatta this year, definitely. So my ladder predictor I brought out a few months ago, I had the Eels coming in 9th this year. I think they do have some improvement. Are they capable of making finals footy this year? I mean, they're going to be only like one game off, if not that, that far off, making the top 8 for mine there. Just do they have that? One thing is Moses staying healthy, 100%. They got to. Mitch Moses got to stay healthy. They can stay healthy. I think he can play all 24 games. I think there is a possibility that they can make top 8. Probably a good chance he won't play 24 games just because of the Origin period, him getting rested. But if he can play, let's say, at least 20 games for Parramatta this year, I think you can call that definitely a success. And then I think if you can probably sneak him into the top 8 there. For me, it's just I'm not sure which teams are there in the top 8 that I put there that I'm not sure will actually finish outside the top 8. Where it's like the Warriors, where it's Souths, that sort of thing. But I said, looking at last year, finished 11th, won 10 games, lost 14. But I said they definitely won their last 4 out of 5 there. Attack wise, they finished 13th in attack, scoring 502 points for the season there. Defense wise, they finished 10th for the season, finishing 578. So 10th in defense, 13th in attack, finished 11th for the season overall on the ladder. So you probably think that's pretty fair in the end. What I've actually learned from a lot of these previews is when you break it down from where they ranked in their attack and where they ranked in their defense, a lot of them finished in like their respectable ladder position, really. There was a points difference of minus 76 there. I said which coach is Jason Riles. First year last year, he signed a 5-year contract, so he's got 4-year contract, so he's got until the end of 2028 there left on his contract. What I thought he did last year was unbelievable. Like, no one should have expected him to make finals. That's just unrealistic. But the foundation that he built and just the mentality he's built into this team, I think shouldn't like go unnoticed. I think they're in for a lot better year. They start a lot better. They got absolute spanked right from round one to start the season last year. They can start a whole lot better this season. They can definitely be playing finals footy in September. I have no doubt about it. Let's look at their 2026 games because they've made a few key signings, which I think will definitely help the team. The first one I want to talk about is Jack DeBellin. Locke played a lot of his career at the Dragons. He's been a one-club man at the Dragons. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eels. I think he will fit really well into this lock role in the Eels. Just get that starting role. Gives a little bit less stress on a guy like Jermaine Hopgood. And Jermaine Hopgood can now go into that forward role a bit more. Jack Williams doesn't have to be as that versatile sort of player, which we know he can be. But he can fit into the second row now. He's mixing around a bit between second row, a prop, a little bit of lock as well. Jermaine Hopgood was a little bit injured at the start of last year as well, that back injury as well. So there's going to be a little bit less strain on Jermaine Hopgood now in that sort of lock role there where he doesn't have to do as much. You can just focus on that forward sort of role there. Now you got Jack DeBellin who's experienced in that lock role there now. I think it's a really good signing for Parramatta, honestly, and I think they can really build him well into this team. Brian Kelly, a little bit of an underrated signing for mine. Goes straight into the starting team here. Obviously, Zach Lomax leaving does definitely help get Brian Kelly into the team. Got an immediate release from the Titans. So I think he was meant to go next year, but he got immediate release for 2020, for 2026 and 2027. So Jack DeBellin signed a 2-year deal. So Brian Kelly at the Eels for 2 years. Got to slot in really well. I believe it'll be right center. I think I may be incorrect there. Really underrated signing. I think he can make a deadly combination if he's got who we have. For me, I've got Simons in there. Obviously, you could have like not Pennicing yet, but you can have. Oh gosh, who am I forgetting off the top of the dome right now? I completely forget. Like Pennicini potentially, but I've got Simons in there on that ring. Sorry, Sean Russell's the other guy, but not sure if he's still there this year. And then the other guy is Jonah Pezza, a guy that's been talked about a lot in the off season, right? A guy that's been at the Storm system for a long, long time now, and now he is coming to the Eels just for a 1-year little loan deal before he goes off to Brisbane Broncos for a contract there. So, bit of an interesting one because like Eels looking at signing a marquee 5'8" to partner Mitch Moses in 2027. That'll really boost the team. Ayongi not on massive money. Riley Smith and Talon Silva not on massive money. Do they have a bit of space in the cap that they can actually go for a 5'8" there? The Zach Lomax money is going to be a bit of spare left now. Are they really going to target a 5'8" coming into 2027? We'll find that out. There's definitely been rumors floating around Tom Dearden is potentially going to be joining a New South Wales club in 2027. I want to see it before I believe it. I think he's going to be a Cowboys guy for a long time, but partners from New South Wales, lives in Sydney. Maybe he moves down there to be with her. Maybe he can get a lot bigger money down here in Sydney as well, but I think he's really enjoying his time up in North Queensland. That's neither here or there. Let's talk about the 2026 losses, because the main one that that's been happening in the offseason that we've known about for a while now is obviously Dylan Brown. Dylan Brown, I thought, was unreal for the Parramatta Eels, apart from sort of last year when this also was starting to happen there. But from the years before, you got the Kiwis number 6 there. I thought he was absolutely brilliant to partner Mitch Moses alongside him. It was just a matter of those two being healthy at the same time. But when you saw those two on the field, they combined unbelievably well. I wouldn't say it's a little bit of a loss for Parramatta, but we saw when they Jason Riles even decided not to play Dylan Brown at the end of last year how well Parramatta actually did. So I think they'll be okay without him. He's obviously got his money now with Newcastle. I think Parramatta will be fine without him. Jonah Pezzett for a year, and I said potential of that marquee 5'8" coming in 2027. Jonah Pezzett doesn't go quite well at the start of the season. You've always got a guy like Josh Papali'i as well to come into the team, who was partnering Mitch Moses at the end of the year when they were playing really well. Couple little other ones, not too many massive losses that they've had. Like Bryce Cartwright has retired there. Wiremu Greg is off to like a Q Cup team, just not really up to standard there. Brendan Hands is off to the Super League, but they've got Riley Smith, they've got Talon De Silva there. They've got like Dean Hawkins, who played sort of in that 7 role when Mitch Moses was injured at the start of last year. He's off to the Super League. Sean Lane has retired. Didn't think Sean Lane was that old. I could be definitely wrong there, obviously. And then Joe Offhand Gowie is off to the Super League as well. Obviously, the other big loss is Zach Lomax there. But honestly, with all the shit that's going on, why would you want to keep a guy like Zach Lomax that doesn't want to be at the club there? They're way better off investing in other like young fellas or just players that generally want to be there at the club and have success with the club there. I have no idea what's going on with Zach Lomax, whether he wants to play rugby, whether he just wants to chase the bag, whether he just wants to be... He can't even decide what team. He doesn't want to be at the Dragons. He clearly doesn't want to be at Parramatta. Rugby stitched him over. I don't think he deserves to go to a team like the Storm, which has had so much resounding success. I don't think he should slot in just like that easily. That's why Parramatta is making it difficult for them. Will they miss him? A little bit. He had his couple good games here and there last year, but a winger like that should never really make a huge difference to a starting team. At the end of the day, wingers are important, but they're not as important as like your halves, even your forwards, that sort of thing there. All right, let's get into their best 1 to 17 to start the year for 2026. Looking at this, I don't believe there's any injuries in this 1 to 17 here that will affect them to start the year. But fullback here, Isaiah Iongi, one of the star young players that we've got coming through the comp here, made his debut at the start of round 1 last year. Was obviously took the Supercoach sort of world by storm, right? Whether you start with Iongi, whether you don't start with Iongi there. Now he's really settled into that role there, and I thought he was really good to start the year, like the whole year last year, pretty much. Had his couple moments there where he's probably a little bit inconsistent, but I thought the moments he brought on attack, whether it's assists or scoring tries, I think he can really build into that second year. It was only his first year starting in that role, so it's second year now in that role. I think he can play a really huge role for Parramatta coming into this year. Partner really well with Pezzett, partner really well with Moses, and really get this team going, this attack going. As I said, they need to finish top 8 in attack. They've got all the weapons there. You talk about Adokar, you talk about Penasini, you talk about Brian Kelly. I don't even think Simonson is a bad option either there as well. I think they've got a solid 4-pack. The starting 13 is quite solid. Even the bench, I think, is quite solid there as well. So as long as they stay healthy, I said this team literally has the caliber of making top 8. Your wingers. So I've also got Fox there on the left wing, and I've gone for Simonson there on the right wing there. So I believe Sean Russell still is there at the club. I'm not sure whether they go Sean Russell or Bailey Simonson. I'm not really fast. Obviously, Fox is your main guy there on the left there. I believe Penasini, he actually plays right center. So that means Brian Kelly will actually play left center next to the Fox there. So having Brian Kelly there, I think is a really good center next to the Fox there. Now, I think that's a really good combination there. Moses can go to the left if he wants. Obviously, he's mainly that right side field player. Maybe Pezzett can really build a combination with those two there on the left there as well. You're probably going to have, I think, Kidione Katoga there on the left edge there as well in your second row there to partner him. So, as I said, in your centers, we've got Brian Kelly there on the left, Will Penasini there on the right. I feel like Will Penasini doesn't really get talked about enough. I really like Will Penasini. As soon as he came into the league, I thought he's always been that kind of threatening guy. I want to see him be a bit more consistent this year, but he has so much potential, I think, Penasini. Always a guy, when he sort of scores a try, has a really good moment, you just think, oh yeah, Will Penasini. Like, of course, right? Like, he's so talented. We just kind of forget about him amongst, like, the other sort of guys that are around the league. I'm not sure why I really do like Will Penasini, though. Also, talked about in the halves here, 5'8" position, start of the year would be Jonah Pezzett. That all goes to shit with Jonah Pezzi. You have got Joash Papali'i there as well to cover if need be, who can build a really good combination with Moses there. In your halfback role, Mitch Moses, obviously, of course. Your New South Wales should be in the halves, like number 6 or number 7 there. I think he should be the New South Wales number 7, put Cleary at 6 there. We saw what he did game 3 at Suncorp a couple years ago. He won the game for them, pretty much game 1, Suncorp there this year as well. He's unbelievable. What he brings to this Parramatta team should not go unnoticed. I think he makes the biggest difference out of any player to a team when he plays compared to when he not plays. When he doesn't play, this team falls to absolute shit. It falls to absolute shit. And we saw that with, I guess, at the start of last year. As soon as he comes back into this team gets up. The combinations are better. The kicking game is way better as well. In your forward roles, I've got for Jermaine Hopgood there, and then Junior Barlow there. I do like both these players. I really like Jermaine Hopgood though. His work rate is unbelievable. Had that back injury at the start of last year that we spoke about there. Got a bit healthier near the back end of last year. I just want him to have a really high work rate in the middle there. Not have to worry too much about attack there. My bad. And I said they've got Jack DeBellin now there in the lock role to be sort of that linchpin on attack and connect a lot of passes there. I just want to see him make the tackles, take some really good runs, and just really work hard because that's all he's about, Jermaine Hopgood there. A starting hooker, gone for Riley Smith there. A little bit of a bigger body compared to Talon De Silva, but these two will have that 1-2 punch combo for sure. In your second row, Kidiota Katona there on the left, and then so I really like Katoga. We saw Kelvin Tuolangi get his start there on the edge this time last year, and I just thought he kind of just really sort of blew it there. You have got obviously guys like Charlie Goma there, who I think are really, really good there as well. Got a guy like Dylan Walker who can come in off the bench and play that role a little bit there as well. You got other guys there, definitely 100%. Like even a Ryan Madison can come and play that role if need be as well. Other edge, we've got Jack Williams there. I thought Jack Williams was unbelievable last year for Parramatta. In the middle there, can play a lot, can play in the second row. Very versatile player, a guy that can literally play over 60, close to 65 minutes if need be as well. Super fit, really good work rate, really good body as well. I really like Jack Williams. And then the 13, we spoke about him plenty, Jack DeBellin there. A guy who I think will slot in really, really well into this Parramatta team. Very experienced there at the Dragons. You could argue where he's going to a better system now, better coaching. Let's just say it's level there. But new coach, new system there for Jack. Bit of a fresh start for Jack there. 2-year contract. I think he'll be happy to be there as well. Obviously, it seems like it was a bit of a shame when he left the Dragons. I think he'll be really happy to be there, and I think he'll do really well at Parramatta there as well. Let's have a look at their bench. So 14 roll, Talon De Silva there. Again, that 1-2 punch there with combo with Riley Smith. I think Riley Smith will probably play like the first 20-25 minutes. Get Talon De Silva on for that, that last bit of the first half and maybe the first bit of the second half, and then let Riley Smith come on and do the damage against a bit of tired forwards there. In your 15 roll, these can come into Tuolangi. It's a big year for Tuolangi for sure, because as I said, I thought he was disappointing last year. He had a lot of hype around him coming into last year as well. I just thought he wasn't that great. So a big year coming up for Kelma Tuolangi. I would like to see him get his bench spot there in round 1. But as I said, if he doesn't prove what he's capable of, 100% someone else on this bench, or this rest of the squad, this top 30, should get that opportunity there as well. And then Charlie Goma, a guy that I think has a lot of potential in the NRL. The guy has a really high motor, has a lot of potential there on the edge. Even in that lock role, can play a bit of forward there as well. Charlie Goma, I would like to see Charlie Goma get a bit more game time this year for sure. There's definitely potential I could see even with injuries or potential just Charlie Goma actually getting a start in this Eels team later on in this season there. Let's have a look at the rest of their squad, because the rest of the squad I think is sort of pretty interesting, right? Like you've got a few sort of backs there. You got a little bit of depth there if need be for injury there. You got guys like Richard Penasini, so it's obviously Will's brother. You got like Ryan Madison. Ryan Madison, 2-3 years ago, was one of the best sort of forwards going around in the comp. I have no idea what happened there, whether he had a bad relationship with Brad Arthur in the end. he just seems to completely fallen off a cliff. And nothing would make me happier, honestly, than to see Ryan Madison be what he was like a couple years ago. I'm not sure whether it's age. I'm just not sure. He was literally such an impactful forward for Parramatta in general in the NRL there. I thought he was unbelievable like 2-3 years ago, and he's just not even making the starting 17 now. But I would like to see him go back to that level where he has been before. You got guys like Ronnie Volkman, who came on from the Warriors a couple years ago. Again, that's a solid half. A solid half if like a guy like Moses or Pezzett does get injured there. Gonna be like Matt Dory there as well. Another guy that can really fit into that forward role well if need be. Joash Papali'i, we spoke about him quite a bit already. Built a really good combination with Moses near the end of last year is when he got his opportunity there. Once we knew Dylan Brown was pretty much going to the Knights, Jason Riles essentially decided to stop putting Dylan Brown there at 6 and decided to give his young guns a deserved spot in the half there, which I thought was really cool. Joash Papali'i, I think a guy, if Pezzett doesn't perform, I think he can come into this role really well. I do think they'll give Pezzett a good sort of 7, 8, 9, 10 games though into that role to build into it though. If he's not sort of performing at that level coming to Origin period, I definitely think you can give Papali'i a go. Maybe like if when Moses plays Origin there, interesting to see what the combo. Maybe they put Ronnie Volkman into that 7 role there. Maybe they decide to put Pezzett at 7, Joash at 6 there. I'm not quite sure. It'd be interesting to see actually what they do there. Then you got guys, I just sort of rattle them off here. You got like Tony Mataeli. You got Sam Tuivati as well. Jordan Samrani, that little backup handy winger. Luca Moretti as well. Then I said you got Sean Russell there as well. So Sean Russell, I'm not really fussed whether they go Sean Russell or whether they go Bailey Simonson there. I'm honestly cool with either there on the wing there, but whoever they pick, you really can't put the other one there in the starting team there or even on the bench, unfortunately. They're just going to have to work really hard in New South Wales Cup. Depth-wise there, you could probably have more deeper players. Like, there's a couple competition spots, I guess, there. And when you're looking around, like, there's probably not really much competition going around when you look at the fullback, the center roles. Obviously, Fox will be there. Potentially in the 5'8", obviously, we know Moses will be there. Your forward roles are pretty locked down. Same with your number 9s there. Maybe your second roles. I think Jack Williams will be there quite solid there this year. Not too much competition really there for Jack DeBellin there. I don't even think I spoke about like Dylan Walker actually. Dylan Walker was such an impactful signing for Parramatta like mid last year there. He's so versatile. He's so proven in the NRL. He was such a key loss, I thought, for the Warriors. Just not even in the starting role. He doesn't get the starting role, but as a bench player, you can come on and play any sort of role that you need. If you needed to play 6, he can come in and play 6 if need be. If Jonah Pezzett gets a HI or something during the game, 100% Dylan Walker can go fill that 6 role there. No doubt about it there. Super versatile. Dylan Walker is such an underrated bench player that's going around in the comp there. One of my favorite players going around in the comp. One of my most favorite underrated players as well in the whole league. Let's have a look at the draw that they've got going there. So they've got the draw is not too bad, right? They obviously being a New South Wales team, they don't have to travel too much out of Sydney. So they literally play Storm in round 1. I cannot believe they played the Storm in round 1, considering everything that is literally going on there right now. There, after they play the Storm in round 1. They only have 3 more games outside of New South Wales this season, which is pretty crazy to think about across 23 other games. One of those games is obviously Magic round there as well in Brisbane, but they get to play 13 home games out of 24 at CommBank. So they must play like the Panthers or something this season there, that they can have another game there at CommBank there. They get a pretty soft run home as well. I'm not sure who the run home is actually. I'll have to go have a look there. But as I said, the finals run, if they're looking in a good position after the Origin period, they've got a lot of sides there. I think it's like the Dragons. I think they've got the Cowboys and Titans in there coming home there as well. And in terms of teams, I have to play twice in the top 8. So you play 8 teams twice overall. They only have to play 3 of the top 8 teams twice. They have to play the Panthers, the Bulldogs, and the Storm. Now, you probably look at those 3 teams and say that's probably the 3 of the hardest going around in the NRL there. But you think they're going to have Panthers and the Eels always have really good battles between each other. Those 2 games are going to be at CommBank there as well. You got the doggies. Feel like those two games could go either way there as well. You're going to have one at CommBank and you're going to probably have one there at a core there as well. Could go either way. Eagles and Storm. Now, they've got, like, we know what the Storm round one record is like there. It's really hard to go win in Melbourne, but there's no reason why they can't actually go to Sydney and beat them at home there. So out of those 6 games, maybe they can sniff a couple there. Maybe they can sniff a couple. But they only have to play like the Raiders, Roosters, Warriors, Sharks, and who else am I forgetting? So Raiders, Raiders, Broncos there as well. I only have to play them once throughout the season, which I think is quite handy. The downside of that one is, so they have 2 games during the Origin period. They have a buys in, I think it's around like 12, around 12, 15, and like 21, I want to say. I think I actually should have it down, which I don't, which is a bit bad of me there. So I don't have a buy until round 12. So I do start the season with 11 straight games, which bit of a long period. I think it's not too bad. Probably like the freshest when you start the season there. I'd probably rather 11 straight games to start the season than 11 straight games to finish the season. They're heading after the Origin period there. They do have to play Raiders and they do have to play Manly during the Origin period there. So no Moses most likely, I would say, for that one there. They aren't the most Origin affected team though, in all honesty. Like you look at that one there, you're probably looking at, I don't think Fox will be making the Blues this season. I also got Moses there. Hopgood potentially may make the Queensland team. Like, can't see DeBella making it. Like, Junior Barlow, can't see him making it as well. Can't see Jack Williams making it. Not too much, literally, like, probably Moses is only going to be your big loss. Maybe Hopgood sneaks in onto the bench if he has a really, really strong start to the season. But they're not too Origin affected, really. The only really downside as well with their draw is they do have a really bad start to the season. They do have to play the Storm, Broncos, and the Panthers in the first month, I believe. So that's a pretty difficult start to the season. I won't lie there. But overall, for the Parramatta Eels, a lot to really look up to and be positive to. I think last year, considering the circumstances, first year with Riles, a rebuilding year, you can give it a pass mark. I think 100%. Considering how they finished the year, that's the Eels brand of footy I think Jason Riles was looking to play, and he got that already in his first year. Now you've got a full preseason now. Mitch Moses is healthy now to start the season. And I think there's a lot to look forward to for this Eels team. I think they can really surprise a lot of teams this year. I think they can surprise a lot of people. I said there's potential for this Eels team to make the top 8. Would not shock me if they're playing finals in September. I can't see them finishing worse than what they did last year, in all honesty. I think they'll definitely be a failure, 100%, if they finish lower than 11th. I think Mitch Moses would essentially have to be out all year for that to happen there. But I think this Eels team, there's a lot of young players who want to be there and want to prove themselves and like solidify their spot on this team there. So I think they'll actually have a bit of success this year. Whether they make finals, I'm not quite sure. I think they just finished outside, as I said, finishing 9th there. But that'll do it for me on the Eels season preview, guys. Went through the 2025 recap, looked at 2026 gains and losses there. Looked at their best 1 to 17. I think they'll line up for round 1 and how I think they should for the season if they stay healthy there. Then have a look at their draw. So the draw, I said, looking too bad for them heading into the season there. But I said, a lot to look forward to for Parramatta there. But that will do me for this podcast here. I've got the Storm as my last team to do a podcast on. I'm about to do it literally right now as I finish recording this. I will upload this pretty much straight away. I usually record the night before, upload the next morning, but I am literally doing this Tuesday morning when you guys will be listening to this as well. But let me know in the comments, how do you think the Eels will go this season? Do you have them finishing top 8? Do you have them finishing bottom 8? Where do you see the Eels finishing this year? And give me a little bit of, I guess, a hot take on the Eels heading into this year. But that'll do me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to give the massive video a massive like and subscribe to the channel. And cheers.